from RaceReviewer.com here in my final podcast episode and video blog. I'm going to be discussing last things I've seen to close this year. It's a hard year in everything, in entertainment, in movies. It has not been the best of years, but it's been a good year in a way. So let's be thankful for the good things. And anyway, going off topic a little bit. So I'm going to be talking about the last few things that I've posted on my webpage. So I'm going to be talking about a few little things. I'm going to start with something new that has been released in music, and that's the new Paul McCartney album, Paul McCartney III. I read yesterday that it's been a very big sale on vinyl, which is great. So the history of this album is that it's called McCartney III because I think it's kind of a coincidence, really. In 1970, the Beatles broke up, and McCartney did this record on his home. You know, kind of not like an official record; it's just him making music in his home. He plays all the instruments, he plays everything, and he just called it McCartney. In 1980, when Wings were disbanded, he did the same thing, which he called McCartney II, which is a very experimental album. He just did it in his home. And now in 2020, thanks to the lockdown, McCartney decided to finish a few songs that he had fun in the studio again, and decided to release it as McCartney III. That's the kind of a brief summary of the history of the album. I like this one much better than McCartney II. I want to begin with that. I have to say that I was kind of shocked because what I expected was a little weird album, and it wasn't. It was the songs were really good. I mean, the first track, "Find My Way," was a good track. A lot of the songs they felt complete, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I was just expecting kind of a very different album than the one that we got, and that's good. I mean, I was completely surprised by the album. I mean, "Find My Way" one of the good tracks. I love "Laboratory Lil," which had the same feeling. It reminded me a little bit of "Temporary Secretary," deep feeling, sliding. "Piece of Venus," "Seize the Day" is a great song. Deep Down, it has 11 tracks, and I have to say it is one of McCartney's best. I'm really glad that he made this record. For me, he vindicated himself from Egypt Station, which a lot of people like, and I don't hate the album, but I didn't even love it. You know, I could hear it. It has good tracks on it too. It has good songs on it. But for me, it was not his best record, even though it really sold a lot of. I like New better. But I think McCartney III is a great record. I'm amazed, that this man keeps on producing such quality music. I think any Beatles fan is gonna love it, and I think any casual fan of McCartney, I think should buy it because it's a fun little record. Really good songs. And once again, you have to give it to him. I mean, he plays every instrument on the record. The only other people playing it. I think they were from his touring band. They are in the album. So that was released a few weeks ago. I think it was on December 18th, and it's out there now. If you're interested, I think it's a good record. So moving on, the next thing I wrote on my blog was this documentary called "Rompan Todo," and it's a documentary about Latin rock music. For me, it was a big boom in the 90s. Bands of this genre, which was called rock Latino. We have bands like Maná, Café Tacuba, Fabulosos Cadillacs, Fito Páez, a lot of great rock and roll bands, and Anitos Verdes. So I was excited about this documentary, but I was a little bit let down about it because I think it should have been called more of a Latin rock mixed with political something because it just felt like if the band had no political impact, it was not going to be discussed in this documentary. It was interesting because there were a lot of things about Latin America that I learned through it, and it was cool to see how the music was relevant to those things. So, but it should have been called something different because I don't feel like it was something looking at the impact of every great rock band. I mean, whether you like it or not, Maná is one of the biggest Latin rock bands, and they only get like a brief mention and pass it off. Um, I think other great bands were not mentioned that much. And it was better. I think was mentioned in a few things. A lot of other great bands or cool songs that were of the era were not even mentioned. So for me, that was a letdown because I was looking forward to relive all those great great bands from my high school days, as they say. But it was an interesting documentary if you want to look at it from the perspective of the political events that happened. And I think they focused too on Argentina, Spain, Mexico. They don't go uh, full to the Latin places. I mean, I live in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico had great artists who fit in this genre and even fit in the political thing. Um, and we only get mentioned by with Calle 13, which I hate. I don't like him at all, in my opinion. I think if you wanted to go with political bands, Fila La Vega is a lot better. Um, I think even Roby Draco made a rock record which was better than anything Calle 13 ever did, but he's the only one that got the mention. So it's not a bad. It's a 6 episode documentary, which it's on Netflix, and it was interesting. I say it's very interesting, but not what I expected, not what I wanted to see, and for that reason, I think I was a little bit let down about it. But not a bad documentary at all. No, I want to leave that clear because it's not a bad documentary. I just think the title is a little bit misleading, maybe, or the promotion, or maybe what I thought I was about to see. Maybe it's not even their fault. Let's leave it at that. So let's continue on. I have a few things that I want to talk about. The big topic today is going to be Wonder Woman, but I want to leave that for the last. Okay, so I saw the miniseries, The Flight Attendant. Uh, what can I say? I think it was a good show. I think it took a while for it to take off for me. I saw the first few episodes, and it was a struggle to finish them because I was kind of like, eh. But I think from the third episode on, it got a lot more better, a lot more interesting, and I found myself really intrigued to see what was going to happen because it was it kept getting complicated. So I think it was a good series. It was Kaylee Cuoco was great in it. She managed to break out of Penny. I didn't see Penny in every scene because she did play Penny for 12 years. So we see her, we see Penny, but not in this one. I think she managed to do it, do a good job. Taking making us see that this is the character she was playing on the series. The series has a great cast. Rosie Perez, Kelly Cuoco, both are great. I don't know the rest of the cast in terms of the work, things, but they were a good cast. And I think the show was pretty original, and it was intriguing. Not as intriguing or suspenseful for me as The Undoing, but it was a great show nonetheless. I enjoyed it. I loved the ending. And like I said, you have to struggle with the first few episodes, but if you survive them and continue seeing it, I think you'll enjoy it. Not a masterpiece maybe, but you'll enjoy it. So continuing on, now we're gonna move on to a film. This is film available on Netflix, and it's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now this movie um, has its value. I didn't enjoy it as much. I mean, it's a good film, but I just don't like. And it happens to me with movies that are based on plays because they try to put what happens on the theater on the movie screen, and it works sometimes. But this one just got me a little bit. It took a while for me to really get into the movie, but what you get in this movie, which is of great value, of course, is Chadwick Boseman's last performance. And my God, what a performance! He moved me so much in so many of the scenes. Uh, I, I mean, his hindsight. I don't know if he took what he was going through and put it in the pain of that character, But his performance, I don't know if he'll win posthumously, but he should, or at least get nominated for Best Actor because or Best Supporting. I don't know where he would fit, but man, what a performance! If you haven't seen it, it's not a long film, and based on his and Viola Davis' performance, you have to see it. It's a just, I mean, the performance is good, and it has great the dialogues. Even though the film is based all in the same place, just three places: a studio, further studio, and I think that's basically it. So if the dialogue has to be good, and it is good, it is interesting. Each character has something to say on those dialogues, and it has a good, obviously, message in terms of what went through in that era, in terms of racism and all of that. But to me, the main highlight was what Chadwick's and Viola Davis' performance. Just great performance by both of them. And I think that just that on that alone, I think it's on Netflix. So if you're in your house doing nothing, I think it's worth seeing. Check it out. So from that on, I want to talk about the great film. I want to talk about before I get into Wonder Woman. I want to go into Soul, which is available on Disney Plus. Um, what can I say about that one? I liked it. It has a beautiful message at the end. I think it was once again an original by Pixar. I think they're very creative. I give them that, and I liked the story. I liked the characters. It was not what I expected, uh, which I liked. But I think the movie just took too long, and there was a point where I just got a little bit tired. But it was not a bad film at all. I love Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey's chemistry between the characters. I mean, they played this little 22 and and Jamie played the lead character, the guy who died, which was a jazz musician. So I don't know if it's I don't know if kids will enjoy it as much because I think it's really like a serious film. I mean, they'll enjoy it because 22 is a funny character, but it was a deep movie. I like that about Pixar. I think I can compare this one to Inside Out, which Inside Out used psychological things to do those characters and make us understand the emotions that we all go through. This one is a little bit deeper because it has to do with life itself and enjoying every moment, understanding that your purpose is not limited to something. So it has a great message. It was a good film. Um, I recommend it. It's on Disney Plus. And okay, so I saw another movie which was Blackbird, which is last year's movie. And again, uh, I think it was just too slow for me. And the story within the family is not that interesting. It's a story about this woman who decides to end her life because she has this sickness. She's gonna live her like a vegetable eventually. So she wants to end her life while she has control of it, and she wants all her children, two children, to go to the house and have one last weekend with her. And that's where the story develops and other complications, and, which is not a bad film. But again, I think the situations that occurred, or maybe the family didn't come together as I would have liked it in the story at the end. But the performances, Susan Sarandon, Kate Winslet, Sam Neill, they're all great. But I don't know, I don't recommend this movie for everyone. I kind of saw it because I love Kate Winslet, but she has better films. And so now let's get to the main event, which is Wonder Woman. I'm amazed. The critics have been really bad. The reviews have been really bad for this movie. Fans, if you hear Facebook and all kinds of reviews, I have only one other guy who said he loved it or at least liked it. Most of the people, and others hate it, really hate it. And I haven't seen this much hate in a film in a while. Um, so what can I say? For me, I can only speak for me. I liked it. Why I liked it better than the first? The first one has more, what I would say, wow moments. It has a lot of moments that leave you wow, excitement. It has a lot of that. I give you that. But the story for me was in this time, I felt the story was more original. And yes, it was a long film, but they were developing the story, and there were things that maybe you could have lived out, maybe, but I didn't mind because I enjoy superhero movies that develop the story, and it's not just endless action without reason. Now, obviously, we would have loved to have more action sequences, um, but what can you say? The action scenes that were in, I think they were awesome. Starting from the beginning to the desert fight and the ending. I think the villain. Um, I didn't read her comics. So what I've told is he's a more uh, he's a different villain in the comics. But since I didn't know that, I kind of enjoyed that this villain was different. He was not looking for. I mean, he was looking for power in a sense, but it was different because he was just. How can I say it? I just felt that he was different. That he didn't even care about Wonder Woman. He just, she just got on his way. Which most villains in comics, they just want to focus on the hero, which is something in the first one happened because the first guy wanted to finish Wonder Woman off. But in this one, I felt like it was original. The whole wish things, I think it went on an original way. Does it make sense every time or during the whole film? I don't know. Maybe it has a few little plot holes, but I didn't mind them. So for me, I enjoyed it more. Um, but I understand the points that I've heard and read are valid. Should it be a hated film? No, I don't think so. You can like it more than the first one or not. That's okay. But to me, though, I think it's been. I think people just expected something because of the delay. I mean, you're hype. The hype keeps growing, and you just expect this mega film. And I think that hurt it. I think it would have been a fine film. I'm not saying it would have been praised, but I think it would, in the different circumstances, I think people would have been a little more nicer to it. I don't know, but that's just me. I enjoyed uh, the villain. I think it was a yes. It was similar. A friend of mine said that it was similar to Selena Kyle from Batman. Yes, I see it. But is it a bad thing? I don't know. I think these movies, for me, they always tend to have at least something that is copied from another one. So I didn't see it at the beginning. It felt familiar, but I didn't see it. It was a friend of mine who pointed that out. Um, but the, but I love the character. I think Kristen Wiig did a good job with the character, which shocked me because all I know from her is Saturday Night Live. Pedro Pascal, who's the Mandalorian himself, maybe he was a little bit over the top at times, but I think he was a good villain. Gal Gadot she's Wonder Woman. You can't mess with that for me. Chris Pine, the Chris Pine thing, felt well. It wasn't necessary to the story, and it was good having him. Obviously, if there's a third one, I hope they don't put him in anyway. But in this one made sense because he was like the moral uh, conflict for Diana, and I like that the real cause she was losing her powers was not the wish, was her own decision to not do the right thing. I think that was good because I've seen movies where the hero loses his power due to an external thing going on. This one was internal. It was all on her. She could have had her power from the very beginning, which I think was great. Uh, so that's. I think it was a good film. I enjoyed it. Uh, so. But I think everyone is entitled to his own opinion, and I'm sure, um, there's no wrong or right here. You don't like it, you don't like it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Uh, so so this has been my last episode for this year. I want to wish everyone who listens or sees this video a happy new year, and I hope that 2021, even though we might continue to struggle with things, may be a blessing, may be filled with blessings. So my best wishes, and I hope that I can continue just sharing about what we like, movies and stuff. This is that's my whole goal is just to share and talk about what I like and all that, and Uh, so anyway, thank you for this year, and I hope you have a happy New Year. Bye.